So for everyone joining us right now, I mean, you can see I'm Carlin Baith from Fox Sports West. This is Luc Robitaille, president and alternate governor of the LA Kings, Hockey Hall of Famer, former Kings
All
left
right, fun,
winger.
fun.
Ah! Luke, we've got some fun questions, and I'll start with a couple that we got from Twitter before we get into some of the ones that we'll see here on Instagram. And
Okay.
on Twitter, Hannah Davy was asking, how are you in the kitchen? And have you and Stacia been baking or anything fun like that?
Well, I've been known to not be too good, but I've been trying to make efforts. Like every couple of days, Stacia and I, we switch, but it's kind of been funny, some of the meals that I've cooked, because some days I'm like, I'm going to surprise you. And she actually had bought some stuff in case it would be really bad, like cans of beans and rice. So
Right.
a few days ago and last week I did like I opened up a couple cans of like chili and put them on top of rice, and I'm like, here you go, honey, there's a special dinner.
Did she enjoy it?
Survival food. But I've been trying some stuff. Like some of my trials have not worked out as expected.
Yeah.
I give her credit; she still eats it. So,
Are you guys still rocking the vegan lifestyle?
yep, yep.
How's that been going? Have you guys kind of concocted any like special desserts or anything during this time?
Too much. We're not real dessert people, so we're every once in a while we'll pick up like there's this ice cream. It's called Craig's ice cream. Well, we bought some, but we rarely eat dessert. But we're rocking it, and we're doing really good. It's actually it makes our life a lot easier during this time.
Yeah, I bet. All right, let's go for another Twitter question here. Craig V wanted to know, and I saw someone on Instagram ask this too. What's your favorite goal that you've ever scored? If you can.
Favorite goal? Oh, it's so hard to pinpoint, but like I think about playing hockey for me. It was definitely, my first game being that was my favorite because
Yeah.
you realize you made it. So I would say that first goal because, like kind of like Velarde, I jumped on the ice and scored on my first shot. And I literally just hopped on the ice, and Marcel Dionne passed it to me, and the goalie was in front of the net, so I just tipped it in an empty net. And I was like, I went from the bench to the front of the net and scored. It was so you kind of never forget that feeling.
Yeah.
In the NHL and that happening. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably say that.
Oh, that's incredible. You can never forget your first goal.
I
It's just ingrained in your brain, I'm sure. And well, okay, let's see. Someone else asked, King's prospect you're most impressed with.
Oh, one I'm probably the most impressed with because he came out of nowhere. He just did it on his own. Was that Blake Lizotte?
Yes.
Make the NHL like what we never had him any. And you do your lineup in the summer. What are the expectations for him to come on and play the way he did, and then he got better as the year went. Like
Yep.
you always talk about kids that play in college, like they get tired around Christmas, and the second half is really hard for him. He got better after Christmas, which is you got to give him all the credit. This kid was a huge surprise, and he's going to be a big part of our team moving forward. So I would say that's the one I was the most impressed with. But I love a lot of our kids. So obviously Fagemo to go to the World Junior Championship and lead the tournament in scoring. That's not an easy thing to do. And you look at the names that have led that tournament in scoring over the years. It's you start hearing Lindros and Forsberg and all that, and big names. And so it certainly bodes well for us.
There's a lot to be excited about,
Yeah.
really. Lizzo had some great hockey that he played this season. He's just such a grinder too. Like never afraid to just be
I,
in the corners and
I thought
being a
Liz,
pest.
I thought Lizzo was a singer.
Yeah. She's also a singer too, yeah. Oh,
She had a
let's
good
see.
year too.
She had a great year. A couple of hits came out.
Yeah.
Some bangers. There we go. Okay, so we've got, let's see, from Instagram, some questions. You guys can start submitting some here. Oh, let's see. If we scroll through, what do you miss most about, or what do you miss most during this current time? EH Mommy asks. Is there anything that you miss, Luke, like travel or, maybe going out to your favorite stores? Anything big that you miss?
Um, Starbucks.
Starbucks.
Well, I like not, for us, not finishing the year. I mean, the kids were playing well, and we're seeing a lot of progress, and obviously that is. But that being said, we're getting ready for next year. We feel we're 3 weeks ahead, basically, from where we would have been. What do I miss most? I mean, I think just my wife and I, we like to go hiking early in the morning. So
Yeah.
not the trails being closed, it's kind of been weird to not be able to do that. That's probably the simplest thing that we're missing the most.
Yeah. It feels like, those are some of the big things that like everyone wants to flock to as well while we're doing this social distancing. It's like, where can we go outside? And it's like, oh shoot, well, everyone's trying to go outside right now. So it's
And
been pretty difficult.
the day before they closed the park, we went to one of the places that we go, and I'd never seen like hundreds of cars waiting. We were like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
And they closed them the next day. It was out of control. Everybody
Yeah.
rushed to the trail.
I know you guys are big on being outdoors, so I can't even imagine how much you miss that.
We're okay. We walk around the neighborhood.
There you go. I got a question about your dogs. How many do you guys have now, and what's it been like being quarantined with your whole like gang of animals that you guys have?
Well, we got four. Two that are really old. One that Rocco is turning on 16, and Drake's at 15, so they're pretty old. And then we got two little ones. We got Nikki, who's 2 years old, and Lola's 3. So they kind of counterbalance and keep the old guys active. But it's fun. I think they're more looking at me like, well, why are you here every day? They're like they don't quite understand what's going on. But
Yeah.
it's been fun. We walk them every day, so they keep us busy.
Good for you. Anthony asked, what's the funniest / worst prank any other player or manager played on you? Oh, that's a good question. I feel like hockey guys are known for pranks. That's just like in your blood.
The ones that I could say, because there's a lot that probably we could never say.
I'm sure.
But I think it was kind of funny in a way. One of our, like when I came back, I had an injury in 97, 98, and I changed my whole workout, and I was very I was doing it every day, and I had a bag with a bunch of tools, and I had like a machine that would help train my neck, and guys would laugh because I was doing it every day. I would bring it on the road and so forth. But the bag itself, I would only grab one thing and then leave it out, and sometimes I didn't need to go in the bag for a week, and a couple of the trainers and the assistant coaches threw a bunch of fruit in there. Happened to go on the road, and I didn't have the bag, so it was in 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, and by the time I came back, it was just absolutely disgusting. I remember it was like it was a banana when it started, but when I got at the end, it wasn't that.
Oh God.
When I was a rookie, the guys too did the old thing where they would glue. You come out of practice and they would super glue your shoes to the ceiling. So you'd have to look at I couldn't find my shoes for a long time. It was funny. Like guys would do, especially they don't do as much like that today. But when I was a rookie, guys did a lot of funny things. Like they do silly things. They would sew the inside of your jersey, so you'd try to put your arm through. You couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Could you imagine how mad Darren Granger would be if somebody super glued anyone's shoes to that ceiling now?
We used to, when we used to fly commercial, you could never, especially when you were young, you could never fall asleep on the plane because you'd wake up and guys would cut your tie or tie your shoe to the seat in front of you. So when you'd get up to leave, you'd just fall down. Like I on purpose would put a book in front of me because they'd always give me the middle seat.
Yeah.
You're younger, you got the middle seat, and I'd put a book in front of me and close my eyes and try not to move. So I learned to sleep literally like sit, not moving, just so they wouldn't.
Fly commercial, because if a big Kings fan were on the plane, I mean, was that kind of exciting for them and for you guys too?
That was the pre-Gretzky era, so it wasn't like every once in a while a fan would recognize you and see, but we would like in those days we were the only team on the West Coast, so like our teams in our division were in Edmonton, Calgary. It wasn't even a direct flight, so we'd have to go to either Minnesota or Salt Lake City and then wait for a couple hours, and guys would just screw around at the airport. That's all they had to do, and like we had the stupidest joke. And the other thing guys would do is they would put, if a guy would fall asleep, they'd put shaving cream on top of his head.
Oh no!
And then they'd try to just throw something so the guy would hit his head, and then just like silly thing. But people would just laugh because on the plane they'd just be there and see these grown men doing stupid things to each other all the time.
What a sight that must have been. Oh my goodness. Let's see, we've got some more questions here. If you guys keep submitting them, this is awesome. And then I'm able to like scroll back up and look back through. We've got one that says from Guardado. Luke, it says, Luke, what current Kings player reminds you the most of yourself and why? That's a great question.
Oh, what current player reminds me the most of myself? Ooh, current. So I'm trying to see, like, our guys play such a different game today. The way the game is played is so different. I mean, sometimes, we have some guys that, the kid Grunstrom we have, like,
Yeah.
put a front of the net, and like he won't find the one-timer as much. He's probably better than me, but that kid Kaliev come in, gets open, and likes to shoot. I like the way, sometimes there's something like Fagemo is doing that I used to do as a player. He's a little quicker than me, actually a lot quicker than me. The way Brownie, not the way Brownie hits, that's for sure, but the way Brownie plays the front of the net, I kind of made a living that way. It's just our guys are different than the era that I played at, so it's kind of hard. But I can pinpoint little things that some of the guys did. Some of the stuff that Tyler Toffoli did,
Yeah.
I did, too. But
I can see that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Probably better than me.
Oh. We've got another one from Jake Olver. He asked what your favorite Marcel memory is. I'm sure it's like kind of like thinking about the pranks because it's only so many you can tell.
Marcel Dionne memory was going to the games with him. It was so much fun because he had like the big Mercedes, and I'd never been in a Mercedes car, so it was kind of neat. And Marcel was pretty small. He had small arms, and his steering wheel seemed like it was so big,
Yeah.
4 feet wide. Like it was like I'm trying to put it on the, and he would tell stories the whole way. He was a great storyteller, but I just never forgot how fortunate. I couldn't believe I was in the NHL and I was driving to practice and to the games with Marcel Dionne. I just couldn't believe it. Being a kid from Quebec, and we hadn't seen Marcel much growing up, but we had heard of him. And I remember calling my dad or calling my uncles and telling them I was living with Marcel Dionne, driving the game in practices.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. So to me, that's what was the most fun. I mean, as a player, he was really good. I remember one time he says to me, I was trying to make a play, and he says, Luke, he says, just give it to me when I get in the zone. He goes, go to the net. He says, don't worry, I'll never miss that net. I'll make sure you get a rebound. And he had a way he would surprise the goalie, and he would put it just high enough that the goalie couldn't control the rebounds. And it was always sitting there just for whomever got there first to bang the rebound. He was pretty amazing player.
That's so great. We've got a couple more here. Who's the funniest teammate you've ever had? From Art Martinez, he asked.
Funniest teammate I've ever had. I mean, I didn't play the game of hockey. Was Marc Bergevin, who's the GM in Montreal now.
Really?
This guy had one, like, everything he did was funny. So I played with him with some Team Canada as another, and he lived by his reputation. The guy that was really fun for us in the locker room with the Kings when I was a King was Doug Smolek.
Yeah.
If you remember. The guy that we had fun making fun of was Lappy. That was Lappy took everything serious. So that was always fun. But those were some of the guys that was fun. Tony Granado had a good sense of humor. Marty had a crazy sense of humor. Marty was always good for something that you were like, did he just do that or say that? But it made it fun in the room.
Oh my goodness. We're going to take a couple more questions here from fans. So get your questions going.
I know we made people wait, so we can take a few more. I'm good.
Oh, look at you. All right. I love it. I like this question here because there's a couple, or each of these answers, or each of these options for an answer are pretty hard to choose from. They asked which Game 7 was your favorite from the 2014 run. So there's a couple to choose from there.
2014 run. Whew. How could you pick one?
I know!
Those three were amazing. I mean, the Anaheim Game 7, I could tell you a little story from each of them. I mean, the Anaheim Game 7, I remember we were the management into a suite, and the game started. We couldn't believe it. I can't remember what was the score after the first period. We were like looking at each other, like, we're going to win this game. We couldn't believe the Game 7 against Anaheim the way it went. It was amazing. The Game 7 against San Jose. The funny thing about that was a few of us would go. We travel when it was closer. We wouldn't travel with the team because we'd have work to do. So we would fly on game day, do what we had to do during the game, and then come back with the team.
Yeah.
When we were in San Jose and we were down 3-1 and we went for Game 5, it was only the three of us. And there's an Italian restaurant in San Jose. And what happened is all the guys that work with me, they know I'm kind of superstitious, especially when you don't play.
Yeah.
So the way the story goes is that when we were playing, I think we started the series in San Jose. Game 1, Mike Altieri that works with us, he said, Luke, where do you want to eat before the game? Because we had a few spots. I said, let's go to this one restaurant because the other one's bad luck. And there were only a few restaurants downtown. It was actually the restaurant in the hotel. So we had dinner there, and as the story goes, we got killed that game. And then the next game, he said, what do you want to do before the game? Because we went back home, and then we came back 2 days later for the game. I said, well, let's go to the Arena restaurant. And for anybody that's been in San Jose, the restaurant at San Jose, it's not really good, their food. I said to him, let's go to that restaurant. We had like a few more people with us, and I said, we got to tough it out. We got to have a bad meal. We'll tough it out. We're going to eat the bad meal, and we're going to tough it out. We're going to win this game the ugly way. So then we got killed again. So then we came back in and went Game 3, we lost, and then Game 4, we won at home. So for Game 5, Mike Altieri said, what do you want to do? I said, well, screw it. Let's go to that Italian restaurant. It's always been bad luck for us. Let's just change our luck.
Yep.
So we go to a restaurant, and by that time, there's only three of us, Kelly Cheeseman, Mike Altieri, myself. And we sit down, and I always brought my iPad, and we would watch other games because they start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He says, what do you want to eat? He says, I'm having meatballs. Now, I'm not a big meatballs fan. He goes, come on, you got to try them. They're really good here. I said, all right, we'll have meatball. And I think we only had like salad, like chopped salad.
Yeah.
So then we ate, we went to the game, and we walked to the game. We win the game, and then we win game 6. So when we won Game 6, we all looked at each other after the game. We're having meatballs in 2 days. So we go back to San Jose, but by that time, because it was Game 7, a bunch of people from AEG, the company, had come, and they all sat with us at the restaurant. They were like, no, actually, they called me. They said, where are we meeting for dinner before the game? I said, we're going to, I think it's called, I can't can't remember the name of the restaurant, but I'll try to
We'll have
remember.
to ask him.
So I said, well, we're going to this restaurant, and I'm ordering. So there's about 11 of them that they come in, and they all sit down, and like I said, most of the people that know me, they're like, Luke doesn't screw around when things are good. You never screw with a streak. So a couple guys grab a menu, and they were like executive from AGM. It's like, put that goddamn menu down. you're not choosing what you order, and I don't care if you don't like it. So I said, meatballs for everyone, and only chopped salad. But these guys were like shaking their head, like, are you kidding me?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I've eaten meatballs. I think some of them ate later at the rig. But during the game, when we won that game, we were like, you see, we told you. So that's there anyway for the whole playoffs. Every time we went on the road, we found a place that had meatballs. We were sick of meatballs by the end of the playoffs, but it was all worth it.
That's insane. We have to ask Mike what the name of that place was, because that's too funny. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then,
go ahead.
7 was awesome because I think it was Jared Stoll. Jared Stoll reacted, and I reacted right away, and everyone around me, no one saw it, and I was jumping. So then we started jumping in our suite, and the entire building was dead silent. So it was pretty amazing to see and get that feeling. But people in Chicago, they were nice. They were all congratulating us from the next suite, and they were pretty cool. That was pretty amazing.
How satisfying is it when an entire arena goes silent like that in an away building?
Nothing better.
Augie was asking earlier, I was just scrolling back through, he asked what player chirped you the hardest? I believe that was what he asked.
Oh, well, Chelly and I went at it pretty hard, Chris Chelios, for a long time. It wasn't, like, he would say things and I would come back, but it was more like, because I beat him a few times. Chelly was really dirty, so if you beat him, he took it personal, so he went back hard at you. So we went at each other for 4 or 5 years there, where it was like I knew if I scored on him or if I beat him, I got a scoring chance. I was going to pay a price, but it was worth it. It was fun.
That is fun. Let's see if we can get one more here. Solid Stang asked, hockey players often have a lot of superstitions when getting suited up to play. What were some of your unique pregame rituals as a player?
Every year, you kind of change, you do something, but you kind of become like a routine, because if something worked, you kind of stick to it. I always laugh if someone goes early in the game and watch warm-ups. If you watch warm-ups and you pick a player and you watch them for 5 warm-ups in a row, you literally have a camera, you would never know that it's 5 different games, because they do the exact same thing every game, same amount of shot, they pick the same corner and so forth, which is pretty amazing. I think for me, the one thing that I stuck to my whole career, and it started when I was in junior because we ran out of tape one game, is that I used to take my stick every period, and in junior I have his black tape, so I put black tape, and I think I got a couple goals that period. So for the rest of my career, I went white tape in the first period, black tape on my stick in the second, and then white in the third. And it's funny, every once in a while I see a picture, I'm like, if it's black tape, it was done in this. That picture was taken in the second period.
What a great tidbit! That's so cool.
It became a habit. I just did it the rest of my career.
Oh my gosh. Violent Gentleman popped in real quick and said there's a big meatball connection in the organization between me and you. I forgot to mention, I also ate meatballs both 2012, 2014. I ate a meatball sub before every home game.
Well, next year we're going to have you eat meatballs before every game, because now we need to get better.
I don't know if I can handle that. I don't think I can handle that. Oh my goodness.
We'll call you for the big games.
Yes, for the big ones. When you need the big guns to come out, I'll gladly sacrifice and have some meatballs. Oh, Luke, we really appreciate you jumping on and doing this, and thank you to Stacia for helping you get on and get in here.
Caitlin and Stacia saved the day today.
Caitlin did as well. Technology, it really is difficult. It's this is not easy to do and to figure out. And I was on my end like, oh gosh, where is he? How do we get him in? Oh my goodness. So we're so thankful that you're here and you made it. And it's nice to see that you guys are doing well and still getting your walks in outside when you can. And hopefully hockey will return soon enough. But in the meantime, we can't thank you enough. Is there anything that you want to say to the fans before we let you go?
We certainly appreciate you, our fans' support. We know, we always talk about, hey, I know who's there today. We call you guys our core fans, our heart and soul. You've been there through thick and thin. You certainly deserve these 2 cups, and I understand people have been patient, and I think we're all seeing those young kids come in, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Just rest assured that everything we do is to give us the next opportunity to win the Stanley Cup. It's not good enough to just be good. We're trying to be great,